What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Issues with Wrestling. I'm Christopher Miles, joined by Jared Shannon. This week, Jared, we're talking about, is there really too much of a good thing? Are we oversaturated with wrestling on TV? So, broad concept, Jared, do you think there's too much weekly wrestling on TV? First thoughts.
Absolutely, 100%. There's way too much weekly wrestling on the TV. I think this year's when it started to get very packed
Okay.
because there's even some wrestling shows that airs on TV that a lot of people don't even know about.
Yes.
So, how about you? Do you think there's
Well,
a
okay.
lot?
I'm gonna give you the breakdown of the weekly. This is a non-pay-per-view week of what we have. Okay, just from WWE, we have 3 hours of SmackDown. We have 2.5, sometimes 3 hours of Raw. We've got an hour of Evolve. We've got 2 hours of NXT. We've got LFG when it's in season. So that right there, just WWE, you're looking at how much time? And then 2 hours of Dynamite, 2 hours of Collision, 2 hours of Impact, 1 hour of NWA Power, 15, 16 hours of weekly wrestling, more than half a day of watching. Yeah, it's way too much. Something has to give at some point. So, is there something that like you're not watching right now because of all this?
Um, Honestly, I try to balance it per se, let's say with AEW. I will not watch as much of AEW as I would for WWE for certain reasons. If I do watch AEW, it's for certain talent, and I probably won't watch it live. I'll watch it with if I have like let's say a short little break, a highlight reel that pops up on like social media, but I will definitely not sit there for longer than 20 minutes on top of the other wrestling that I have already watched that week.
Yeah, and like we said on the show, I've not watched AEW for quite some time, just because I didn't like the way the Punk situation was handled, showing the footage, the backstage footage, and not looking great in doing so. I try and watch as much Impact as I can. I really don't watch Power just because eh. I don't watch Evolve that much. I mean, one, it's on a different service, and we have so many streaming services already that are all over wrestling. So I don't really want to watch Tubi. And like, again, this is the elitist in me. If they're good enough on Evolve, we'll see them on NXT sooner or later.
Yeah.
Do you want to follow that product from double A ball to triple A ball to the major leagues? Some people do. I don't have the time. I've tried to watch Evolve here and there, but it's like when like someone I know is going to be on it. Same goes for like when I used to watch AEW Dark. When Warhorse or Reign Victoria or somebody was on it, I'd watch then. But normally it's just like, well, why would I watch that? But all right, what is the sweet spot for you? What amount of wrestling should we have per week?
Hour wise or how many show wise?
Both. Give me both.
Show wise, I'd say give us a level of 4 hours weekly. And I'd say maybe not 4 hours, 4 shows weekly. And
Okay.
I'd even put on top of that, have each show listed at maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes a show. I feel like that's a fair
That's
amount.
that's too long for me. Like I'd love to see 90-minute 2 hour programs be the top. Those 3 hour Raws back in the day were a bit of a slog, and the 3 hour SmackDowns now are even worse. it's so hard to watch it, especially when I mean, again, you're watching so much wrestling all week. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, I definitely get that perspective, but I feel like if you have that phenomenal team that can produce those wrestling shows, I think these 2 hour and 30 minutes or just 2 hour shows could be phenomenal and just enough of wrestling that can fulfill your week outside of independent shows.
Yeah, death like any indie shows, and the indie shows that have weekly programs like Glory Pro and PWE. It's like, what do you do with those when you find the time? And our good friend Barbie Ann says hi. Hi, Barbie. Chris, thanks for tuning in. Uh, do you think there should be like a rest day, like a certain day that we don't have wrestling? Because we have wrestling now on pretty much 7 days a week on a pay per view week. It's on every day. Is it should a Saturday? Should Saturday be reserved for indie shows? Should the former pay per view day of Sunday go back to being the main pay per view day, or what do you think?
I believe that the rest day should definitely be on the weekends to give
Okay.
the audience that is devoted to these mainstream professional wrestling shows an opportunity to go branch out and see these independent shows.
Hmm.
Independent shows, let's say Hog or Warrior Wrestling, stuff like that, or Pro Wrestling Epic, Gory Pro, all
Hmm.
these other uh, independent shows. You could even call them larger than life independent shows. You can even
Hmm.
put. But on the pay per view side of things, I would say they can keep the pay per views on Saturdays. It's not like the pay per views are every single week. So
No, but it seems like
thank
it almost
God.
between Impact and AEW and WWE. It seems like they are almost. But I mean, you got to admit, you felt viewing fatigue watch being an active wrestling fan.
Oh, 100%. I used to watch every show devotedly
Hmm.
every single week, and it was like, I don't have time to myself. I will watch these shows, sit there, and just focus on it, and it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier watching live. I got to admit, most times, unless it's like a big show that I know I have to watch, like I watch the Netflix debut live. There's gonna be a big match or a title match, I'll watch live. But here lately, in the past few months, I take my day off and I have that be my wrestling catch-up day. You know, so I'll sit, when I'm not working on, there's no one else to, not bothering someone by watching wrestling. I'll try and catch up that way, and it's been okay. I've had a lot more fatigue that way, where I'm like, I don't really want to watch the next show.
Yeah, and it's like one of the biggest shows I've been definitely getting into has definitely been NXT Evolve. Mainly those two shows, Evolve Wrestling. A lot of those talents came from the independent scene.
Hmm.
Jack Cartwheel, Cappuccino Jones, Jackson
Jackson
Drake
Drake,
Sanity
yeah.
Project, and it's just phenomenal to see those talent go from the independent scene to that Evolve Wrestling and now onto NXT. And I feel like just having that NXT program,
Hmm.
NXT Evolve, you can even count LFG as NXT. I feel like that is just enough for me for the mainstream portion of it because I feel like lately that's just been the biggest thing for me. SmackDown, Raw, most of that you can just find the 5 minute highlight reel on
Yeah.
Facebook
Hmm.
or YouTube. While NXT, that's something I can sit down watch live because it's not too long and it's not too tiring.
But here's my question with that too. Is a lot of the fact that you enjoy the NXT and the Evolve is that also nothing to do with character fatigue? We see so many hours of Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton every week. We don't see all the Jackson Drakes and Jack Cartwheels and Ricky Saints and really Joe Hendry, except on their show. So do you think it's character fatigue as well? Like you're sick and tired of seeing the same people?
I think that definitely plays a portion into that. Because how many times can we see Cody Rhodes put in a title match? How many times
And
can
that's
we
not a knock on
see?
Cody. That's just how they're booking.
Absolutely. And if
Hmm.
I just feel like NXT has a little bit more room to move with talent and kind of not really perfect their show, but be more flexible with
Yeah.
rotating the talent.
Well, plus, unless you're Tony D'Angelo, you're going to be out of there eventually. And that poor guy's been there for how long now?
Too long. But I he came back from an injury, and it seems like they're trying to find his footing once again in
Yeah.
NXT before they say, "Okay, we're tired of you. Go to the main roster."
Yeah. Now, do you think? Now, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to have you elaborate on it because I know my answer. Streaming, DVRs, and YouTube, how much that has affected your viewing patterns, because we're not tied to having to be there Monday at 7, Friday at 7. We can watch wherever we want, which I do now. I mean, how much that has contributed or dissuaded you from watching more wrestling?
I will say it has decreased my attention value
Hmm.
to the product because there's
Mm.
too many different options to watch it.
Here's my thing: the Netflix has the option to increase playback speed, and I will tell you that I've very recently been watching SmackDown at 2.5 times speed, because I can still keep up, I can still follow it because it's not too fast, but it just gets over a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and it's just like even there's just too many platforms that
Hmm.
you have to just watch just that WWE specifically, and it's like I don't want to get all those platforms. It doesn't matter to me about, oh, you can go back and watch it again. No, thank you. I
I
can
mean,
find
yeah,
it all on social media.
we're here in the States where there's so many different services. You have Tubi, and you have still Peacock for Saturday Night's Main Event, and one more NXT PLE, Netflix, and your regular cable for SmackDown, unless you have VPN. You can watch SmackDown on Netflix. Um, it, and then you got AAA on YouTube as well. That adds one more program. I have to even mention AAA's weekly show on YouTube. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's like, that's just too many platforms just for one specific company. I just
So I
wish,
mean, ideally, would you want all on Netflix? Would you want it all, like? Would you be cool with two or three, or would it be like all in one place?
all in one place. I felt like it would be more organized, and that would definitely increase the catalog onto Netflix. Honestly, I wish
Hmm.
that we could just pay for one subscription type for Netflix, because I don't watch anything else on Netflix, but the
I
WWE.
desperately missed. I desperately missed the WWE Network. I really do.
Oh, I hated the WWE Network.
Why?
The
Everything was
website
there.
sucked. It crashed a lot.
It
It
didn't. In
lagged
okay,
a
okay.
lot.
In the beginning, it did. It got really stable towards the middle and the end of its existence.
And then the number one annoying thing about the WWE Network is all those ads just for $9.99, and the merchandise that they made for it was horrendous.
You have to advertise, my good man. It has to be done.
But not every 5 minutes for it. We understood 10 minutes ago it was $9.99.
There's no helping you, is there?
Not with the WWE Network, absolutely not. I
Terrible.
believe if there was an AEW network, maybe
What
so,
you mean,
but I felt like
HBO Max?
absolutely not. I wish there was just a specific network just for AEW stuff. I don't. I
Yeah. Except you would subscribe to the Jack Perry network, so I don't want to hear anything from you, okay?
absolutely call it the Jack Perry AEW website. Only content for Jack Perry beating up CM Punk backstage.
That ain't how it went down, but all right.
I don't know what clip you saw.
The real one.
Real glass.
All right. Now, do you think that if we were still adhering to the brand extension in WB, that it would help at all? If we had Raw on Raw and SmackDown on SmackDown, would that make it more flexible? Because I mean, it doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, Cody's on both shows, Punk's on both shows, Drew's on both shows. Did it seem like it was more separate when they were separate, or was it still just the same shows over in a coat of paint?
I felt like when they actually enforced the draft, the split roster, it would have definitely been worth it. Because then you had to tune in to just that show to see that specific talent.
Hmm.
Now, if you're watching just for, let's say, just watching for Randy Orton, you don't have to just get cable for SmackDown. You can have Netflix for Raw because more than likely he's gonna appear on Raw the following week.
Yeah. Now, okay. We mentioned YouTube. There's no other than AAA. There's no show on YouTube, but there is
Main
lots of
event.
okay main event. Fair. Add to the list. More wrestling to watch than the one I forgot about. Um, do you think that you could get a sense of what's going on in WWE and AEW from the YouTube rewinds, YouTube clips, or do you have to watch the shows to still follow?
I think you can definitely get a sense if you know the product well enough
Hmm.
and actually focus on that video. Either whether it's the highlight reel video that they pack all into one, or you're watching those separate clips on that channel.
Like I said, I've not watched AEW in a couple years now, but I still know what's going on in the company because I still do catch YouTube clips. I catch Cultaholic and What Culture doing their recaps. So I still feel like I know what's going on, but I know that if I watched it, there could be other like maybe a mid card storyline going on, or even a random low card match that it happened, and I don't know if I'm missing that much by missing those, but that's just me.
No, so, but I felt like, yeah, if you understand the product, you could definitely get a grasp of everything that they post onto YouTube and Facebook, even if it's just those 50-second clips of, oh, this is what happened in the match. You'll definitely understand what's going on in their program.
So what percentage of fans do you think do that follow the product just from the clips? It can't be that much, I would think.
I
I would
would
say
say,
probably less than 10%.
I was going to think a little bit higher. Uh,
Such as,
I was thinking about 15%.
okay,
Uh,
that's not that much higher. I mean, it makes sense. All right. So again, with the length of the shows, who still gets lost in the shuffle? Is it? I mean, do you still have those guys that should be booked but aren't? You know, if you've got 17 hours of wrestling programming and you're still not seeing this guy that you want to see, how do you rectify that? With more shows or what?
I think the only way to rectify that is reshuffle your roster because they will build an entire show around just three rivalries. And that
Hmm.
2 hour show is filled with 1 hour of ads. And then that other hour, you get three segments and then three things surrounding those rivalries. And you have those talents such as Royce Keys who will get kind of lost in that shuffle, or people backstage that, oh, we haven't seen that guy in a long period of time
So
because they
you'd be totally in favor of like a really hard brand split again.
absolutely 100%. I feel like I would tune in a lot more just to see certain talents just for those certain shows.
Do you think we ever had fans that were Raw or SmackDown specific, or was there not enough difference?
Oh, 100%. We had fans that was 100% just for Raw and 100% for SmackDown. Uh, Mainly due to certain talents being certain places. When you
Hmm.
had actual, let's go back to more towards the 2016 time period of that draft where they kind of enforced it just a little bit
Hmm.
more heavier than they do now. I guarantee you had fans that tuned in just for SmackDown just to see the people of like Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, their little, and Paige at that little short time she was there.
Hmm.
Then you had people on Raw just tuning in to see, oh, Mick Foley, Stephanie McMahon. I think you definitely had people that tuned in just for those specific talents for those shows because
So,
they
so
didn't care what was going
why do they
on.
keep blur? Because they did the brand split two, three times now, and it always ends the same way. They always blur the lines with wild cards or whatever or trades. Why do they keep doing this? Like if they're gonna do it, do it. But to me, it's like they keep
Because I
messing it up.
think they want to kind of, for the audience, kind of make each show special with its talents. But I don't think they realize the fans view both shows equally.
Hmm.
One show is just longer than the other. Or one show doesn't have a time limit because they can end the show at any time they want. Monday Night Raw, for example. But
Hmm.
I believe they just think it just makes one show a little bit more specialer than the other.
Okay. I mean, I can understand that.
Because you have the flagship show, Monday Night Raw, and then you have the what they call SmackDown Powerhouse Show or something,
Yeah.
the Blueprint. Like that's
The
how
blue
they,
brand.
yeah, that's how they just try to pull in certain fans to watch the certain shows.
All right. So, I mean, have the 2 night pay-per-views helped you with fatigue at all, or has that made it worse? Is it easier to
Oh,
sit down and go ahead?
yeah, go finish.
Is it easier to sit down and watch WrestleMania for 7 hours, 8 hours one night, or an AEW pay-per-view, or is it easier to watch 2 3 hour shows over a course of a weekend?
It has made it worse, 100% worse having 2 night events back
I,
to
I
back.
Mania, I almost think it's been better because again, those last couple manias before they split were so ungodly long, 7.5, 8 hours. That's not even counting the pre-show, which is the 3 hours on top of that. We're talking about wrestling fatigue. By the time Becky Lynch won that match, we were done. Yeah, I was half
But it
asleep.
kind of like I view it as this. Even with the 2 night shows, they start earlier to have a longer kickoff show than a promotional show. Then
But
you
they're
get
not 7 8 hour shows anymore. They're still three
yeah,
4 hours at best.
but it still feels just entirely too long. I believe having those 1 night WrestleManias, there's just something a little bit more special about that. I always
Okay.
go back to think about WrestleMania 25, 26, 27, 28. Those 1 night shows were just special. You didn't always have to tune in to that pre-show. You knew what time to tune in. Just nowadays, you're like, what time do I even tune in to this?
Oh, they make it very clear when to tune in. Come on now, young man. They
And
tell you very much so when to show up.
I despise of 2 night premium live events, including SummerSlam for some odd reason. That was the most randomest premium live event
Well,
to
doesn't
make
but doesn't the Rumble make sense where you have one Rumble each night?
it does, but even when they have a 1 night rumble, there's not even enough singles matches on there.
Because there's no the point of the Royal Rumble is at the singles matches. I mean, previously in the early days of the Rumble, you'd have 2 3 matches and then the Rumble. You know, so I think I'm in
So,
favor of the big four. I was vehemently opposed to actually the SummerSlam being 2 nights at first. I thought it would make Mania less special, but I didn't mind it because I had to sit down and I wasn't sitting through a slog of a show. I think the big four could be 2 nights and I'd be fine with it.
so you would want the Royal Rumble to be 2 nights.
It's gonna be, yes. They've said that.
How so if we went back to about the 2010, 2011 time period to when the Elimination Chamber had both the WWE title defended in a chamber and the world title defended in a
Hmm.
chamber. If they would bring back those two separate chambers, would you want that to be 2 nights?
It's first of all, it's not one of the big four, so no. Could I see every PLE being 2 nights at some point? Depends on how these goes with the big four. If it does well, like because I mean, you got to admit you're in the minority with the not liking the 2 night pay-per-views. You admit that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So I mean, if it gets to the point where we're having entire weekends of WWE every month, yeah, that might be a bit much. But the big four I'd be okay with, and I don't think like I can't think of any indie company that runs the actual Mania day. I know there's a lot of people that run around Mania. There's the Game
I
Changer
think
does a show usually there the morning of or the evening of or after the event even. I don't think any indie company is going to run the same time. So that's
Oh,
not a
yeah.
concern for me.
They would set themselves up for failure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Especially if you ran in the same city as WrestleMania.
yeah.
But so what do you think would be the difference from a 2 night elimination chamber to a 2 night war games?
Well, you only have one War Games match. Survivor Series War Games is one match. And
You also have the women's and the men's.
okay, yeah, you got me there. But do it the same way you do the Rumble. Do one night, next night.
But
It's
here's where
because
I would
okay, you mentioned the chamber match. I was there in 2010 when it was here in St. Louis when they had the chambers in the same night, and it wasn't nearly as cool to me to see the chamber when it's because let's face it, one of those matches was a lot better than the other one. I mean, Taker caught on fire. I mean, what more could you want? Oh, and you've got some praise from Jeremy Carp. At least Jared and Honest. Of course, both of you are. Yeah. Hey, don't boo the maestro. He's a good man.
But like I was saying, so if you have a 2 night war games, what is the
Men and
difference from
women's.
a 2 night war games to a 2 night elimination chamber? I believe if you had the chamber is a little bit more important than a war games match.
War games. War games should be the ultimate settling of beef between two groups of people. Now it's just let's start a feud in November. It is. It is. It is. Chamber being on the road to Mania now, yeah, sure, it's very important, but again, it's not one of the big four. I think that Chamber would be the first one of outside of the big four that I would make 2 nights. If I was going to do that, I still don't think it's a good idea, just because if you have all of them 2 nights, then if you have the big four, they're the big four. You know, that way we know what the major events are. The
And
baseball stadium, football stadium events as opposed to the arena events.
I remember about a couple years ago, probably I want to say it was either during the COVID and probably just shortly after, there was a rumor that they were considering doing Money in the Bank 2 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be in favor or not in favor of that?
Again, it would be like after Chamber. If we went to the Big Four 2 nights, try Chamber out, and then try Money in the Bank, I wouldn't do more than 5. I think I'd draw it at the line of 5 because that way you have to know what the big events are. And let's remember, they tried to hold Money in the Bank at a baseball stadium or football stadium. Didn't sell well. That event doesn't have the oh my god I want to see it that the Chamber, the Rumble, War Games does. And I'm somebody that loves Money in the Bank, but also those Money in the Bank matches aren't as long as Chambers or Rumbles or War Games. Those are 25-minute matches normally, given the confines of that show.
I do also agree with that. I believe because when I first heard that rumor, I was like, "There's no purpose of that." And Money in the Bank match is maybe 30 minutes at best,
Mm-hmm.
maybe less. And if you combine both men and women, you just have 1 hour of a pay per view right there. Then you
Mm-hmm.
maybe toss on 2 singles matches and 2 to 3 singles matches, and you call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Money in the Bank needs 2 nights. Nowhere near 2 nights. I believe,
Yeah,
if anything, toss them back on WrestleMania.
I don't know about that because it's become its own thing. So I think you could definitely still have the event, but that one it would be on the list to be 2 nights, but I'd keep it at one for now. And that answers my next question. When it's a pay-per-view week, given how much wrestling is on TV every week, do you feel excited for the pay-per-views, or it's just like it's time to watch more wrestling now?
When it comes to pay per views, I think it just depends on how much wrestling I've watched within that month.
Because I mean, these AEW pay-per-views are long. They're 5 hours plus, whereas A WWE one is 2.5, 3 hours. It's more of a what we're used to portion. You know.
Absolutely. I remember I had went to one AEW pay per view,
Hmm.
AEW Dynasty, when Swerve Strickland defeated Samoa Joe for that AEW championship.
Hmm.
At that time, the pay per views weren't as long as it is on TV now. Uh,
That one was a little shorter, but I mean they've been long for the duration of AEW. I mean
and it was
they've
like,
quite often ended after midnight Eastern time.
absolutely. And I felt like that was just the right amount for a pay per view. But then when I started watching these other AEW pay per views, I'm like, halfway through, I'm getting like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Like,
Now,
what's the purpose of
yeah,
having a 5, 6 hour AEW pay per view?
I have two questions left for you before we get out of here for this week. Wrestling off season. Every sport has one. Do you think wrestling would benefit from an off season to get rid of that fatigue? Because I mean, I love
No,
hockey. I love hockey, but if hockey was a year-round sport, I'm not sure how much I'd watch it. You know.
I think the special thing about professional wrestling
Hmm.
is how it doesn't have an off season. How it's
Okay.
per se, I would put it similar to The Greatest Showman. It is one of the greatest sports in the world. That's the special thing about professional wrestling. You have people that watch it just for the storytelling, just for the aggressiveness, just for all these types of things, just for the production of it. And I think that's what's special. They rotate it quite a bit to try to keep that audience still interested while also trying to bring in that other form of the audience. So I think it shouldn't have that off season because they produce so many different things, whether it's just for one show, another show, or just for the extras like Unreal or these
Hmm.
LFG shows. So I don't think it needs an off season.
Do you find yourself, you know, making it a point to watch the tertiary shows like LFG or Unreal, even though you might be a little fatigued?
Absolutely, I try to at least watch it or the highlight clips of it because I think they play a major role into
Now,
just one of my favorite shows, NXT.
given I'm no expert, but I do know wrestling. Unreal is not real. That show is just as staged as any Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or Dynamite. They're running storylines on that show, so let's be honest here, people, with what Unreal is.
Absolutely. It's nowhere near real.
Real.
It's more faker than Total Divas was, honestly.
Ah, right. So
You can't tell me that part of the clip where they were telling Pat McAfee, keep keep acting, cameras are still rolling in the back.
mhm.
You nowhere near.
My last question for you before we get out of here: have you taken a break? Have you just not watched any point here lately because you've been too worn out?
I did take a break for a period of time early last year.
Hmm.
Uh, I took a very long needed break, even took a short break from the independent scene, because you can get fatigued from mainstream wrestling, but that will make you fatigue of professional wrestling overall. Uh, and it was a much needed break. Yeah, I still watched a little bit of highlight clips, but I wasn't as devoted to watching it as I was.
I did a clean break right after Mania 39 when Cody lost. Not because Cody lost. It was just like I think I didn't watch for almost 3 months, and I did a clean break. I didn't do any YouTube recaps. I didn't watch anything. Still going to my indie bookings, but didn't watch it all. But I will say when I got back in, I went back and rewatched all that. So, but I kind of felt nice not watching. And like when I don't watch the live shows, it's nice to hang out with the family and like watch a show or something and not like, oh, I'll watch that later. Nothing's going on. Yeah, I'm going to watch wrestling, but I don't really mind missing it like I used to. All right.
I think when it comes to wrestling, it just has to be something special that has to keep the
Sure.
attention of that fan and try to make them not have fatigue but have excitement to the point where you can't wait to watch that next show of that product.
All right.
But And I felt like there's a period of time where both AEW and WWE lacked that because it was just a copying of the show constantly from their own products.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's about that time before we get out of here and do all our plugs and such. Any final words for the lovely viewing audience, listening audience out there?
The final words I have for the horrendous people out there
Oh,
is love professional wrestling and remember, you do not need an off season of professional wrestling. And Mr. Carp is an amazing, phenomenal human being, and I am always Superman and never
but
Batman.
if you do need a break, take a break though. So as always, many thanks to our great sponsors. Promo code 123miles at w.gg for some amazing energy powder hydration powders. Great tasting stuff, no dyes, nothing artificial, pure energy, pure hydration. Check it out. W.gg, promo code 123miles. And of course, our other sponsor, deemfit.co, that great active apparel that supports first responder charities for military, police, firefighters, EMS. Promo code 123miles at deemfit.co for 10% off your purchase. And as always, get your Christopher Miles Pro Wrestling Saved My Life shirt or your Jared Shannon heel, because it's a heel, t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/Christopher Miles. You're a heel, admit it. And as always, we are a proud part of the Entertainment 70 Sports Media Podcast Network. And you can see us once again, starting back every Thursday, 6 or 7, depending on how we're, works out. But it's been good to be back in the saddle with Jared. Jared, it's been a lot of fun to get back and doing this with you.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we can remain consistent with it and get some viewer base up. But guys, until next time, send us the topics you want to hear about. What issues do you have with wrestling? Hit us up on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. We have all of them. Get us on there. Tell us what you want to hear about. Because for Jared Shannon, I'm Christopher Miles, and we got issues with